the speakers that I followed was Freeman Grabowski. Now I'm following Ben Jones. Right? So everybody take a deep breath, do a little bit of calisthenics, move around a little bit, stretch. I'm Vicki Almond, and I do represent the 2nd District in Baltimore County. I'd like to start off, though, with what I did this morning, because it was really a pretty special thing. I have 6 grandchildren, and 2 of them are very much into cycling. Not just into it, they're passionate about it. And this morning I met my daughter and my grandkids and a couple other people down in Annapolis in their cycling uniforms, Baltimore Youth Cycling, and they were down there advocating for bike laws in the state. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, to be kind of in the background a little bit and to watch these kids go up to the senators and the delegates, say who they were. You know, they had good voices, good proud voices, and say, I'm here to tell you that I ride my bike on the road. It's not just grown-up people that ride on the road, but I ride on the road, and I want those roads to be safe. It was a pretty cool experience, and I have to say, as a grandmother, I was a little bit proud. So, I am a lifelong Baltimore County resident, grew up in Catonsville, and moved to Reisterstown 34 years ago, where this journey really began. When my daughters went to preschool, I think one of the reasons I didn't want them to go away from me, so I decided I might want to be there and volunteer. I might want to be a part of things. So I was hooked immediately on this whole volunteer thing. I liked being a part of something bigger than myself. I liked being a part of something that included other people, that they were team players. They were out for the good of the community, for the little school where my kids went, and around the community and outside of it. They wanted it to be better, and they wanted their kids to have a good school experience. So the 34 years ago, when I came to Reisterstown, I married my husband Joe. We lived in our starter home, which we were going to live in for 5 years, and it's now been 34. Raised my 2 daughters there. They went through public school. My mother lived there with us for 20 years, and so it's a hard place to leave anyway, and I don't think I'd want to leave it. So I became a volunteer, and that to me was a pretty important thing to be, because I was part of something bigger. I went on to be PTA president at the elementary school and the middle school, twice at the high school, I think, because they couldn't find anyone else at the time. And back then, we had 100 people at PTA meetings. I mean, when I say volunteer, we volunteered. We did good stuff. We put on festivals, we put on parades, we loaded buses up and marched on the Board of Education. We did stuff, and we were proud of it, and we were happy to be a part of it, and to be a part of each other and each other's lives. And that group that I came up with, that my children grew up with, they're my base. They're still a part of my life, because we grew up with our kids. We did things with our kids. We made our schools better. We made our communities better. So from there, I moved on to communities, and I was president of this and that. The Reisterstown Owings Mills Glendon Coordinating Council, Noel is probably the only one in here who can say that. That was an umbrella group of about 75 organizations at the time. So that's where I really began to learn about Baltimore County, about code enforcement, about zoning, about traffic issues. It was the day-to-day stuff in communities. And communities are the backbone of Baltimore County. They always have been, and I think they always will be. And we were all about making our communities stronger. And sustainable, strong communities are about good public schools, public safety, and economic development, because we need all of those things to make our communities strong and to sustain our communities. So as that time went on, I can tell you all kinds of other things. I ran a parade, I ran a festival, I met Kenny Chesney before he was popular. So all of that volunteerism and all of that, just the basics of life, the way we want to live in our communities, all became very important to me. I became involved in political campaigns, volunteered with Dutch and with Jim Smith and Bobby Zirkin and several other folks, and from that I went to Annapolis with Bobby for 4 years when he became senator. So I had had some state experience as well. So in 2010, when Kevin Kamenetz decided to move up, the seat was open, and there were, I think, 12 people in the race, because it hadn't been vacant in 16 years. So there were 12 people in the race. We ran the race out of my dining room with that base that I was talking about, and I won. And no one was more excited and surprised than I was. But to me, I took that role so seriously, and I wanted to represent my district the best that I could. The second district is Reisterstown, Owings Mills, Glendon, Pikesville, parts of Milford Mill, then east through the valleys and out to Charles Street. Very diverse area. But I immersed myself in that diversity because I wanted to know everybody in my community. I wanted to know what made them tick, and I wanted to be a part of their lives. I wanted them to be able to call me, email me, write me. It didn't matter what the issue was. I wanted to help solve it. But I knew too that in wanting to do that, I needed them to be a part of the solution. So to me, it's all about building those relationships. It's about teamwork. It's about coming together to solve the really tough problems. And to me, today, we've got some really tough problems. We have a school system that we have to we have to ask a lot of the tough questions at budget time of the school system. Right now, we don't know the direction that it's taking. We don't know if the interim superintendent will be the superintendent. We don't know these things. It's going to be in 2018, the first time we have a hybrid school board, elected and appointed. There's going to be a lot of changes coming, and we have to be really on top of things. Everybody talks about universal pre-K. Love to have universal pre-K. Where are we going to put them? How are we going to bring in the teachers and the assistants that are needed for them? What happened to our school facilities? Where did the maintenance money go? It's bigger questions than just one school. And I know there are a lot of issues with our schools. There are a lot of schools that need renovation. There are a lot of schools that need replacing. We know that. But what have we done with the maintenance money all these years? Did you let your house go? Did you just decide not to paint it or fix it or do whatever? You know, I don't know. These are questions that we really do need answers to. I would like to see us put more of our school budget into people, teachers, assistants. As I've been touring the county in my bid for county executive, I have toured a lot of schools, east, west, north, south, everywhere. And I have seen some of the schools and some of the areas that we've absolutely underserved. To me, when you move into Baltimore County, the first thing you should be able to say is, I know I've got a great school for my kids to go to. That's not the way it is anymore. We're picking the places that we're going to move because of the good school. Why aren't all of the schools as good as the next one? Yes. We don't have enough middle schools. We have our high schools that are overcrowded, way overcrowded. 1,600 kids, 2,000 kids in a school. It's a lot to manage. And if you don't have enough teachers, enough assistants, we need social workers. We need a psychologist in our schools. We need those resources for our teachers so that they have the help they need, so that they can teach the kids, because they can't be the psychologist and the social worker and the nurse and the mother and the father. They need to teach. They need to teach. We need to be able to look at this. And it's not just me as a county executive that's going to solve this problem. It's all of us together. It's all about that teamwork. It's all about surrounding yourself with the best and the brightest people. And I can do that. One of my strengths is knowing people, and I can bring people together. We have incredible Baltimore County employees, and right now we don't use them. We don't ask them their advice. Who else better to tell us what's going on out in our neighborhoods but the people who are out there every day? Our police department, our fire department, our public safety, good solid ground. Do we need more resources? Yes. Do we need more people? Yes. Let's get back to community policing that we did years ago, where from the precinct, the police officer got in his car or got on his bike and he went to his neighborhood, his communities. He knew every kid's name. He knew who lived there. He knew if the garage door was open in the middle of the day that maybe there was a problem, because that's not usually what happens. Let's get back to bringing each other closer, to working together. Let's have our neighbors looking out for our kids again. Just looking out the window to see if Johnny gets home from school okay, that they can unlock the door okay. Maybe he has a snack after school. Let's have a new attitude and a new atmosphere. Economic development, we have to have it. We have to have it. We have to have a tax base. We have to bring jobs into our communities. We have to have amenities for our people to go to. People now who come to a community, they want to make sure that community is strong and sustainable. They want places to go to eat. They want entertainment. They want those things. And I don't think Baltimore County is giving them enough of it. We've been in kind of the same mode for a long time now. It's time to break the mold. It's time to do something different. It's time to make Baltimore County stronger. And it's time to pay attention to the people in Baltimore County and serve their needs. Our neighborhoods are changing. It's not all about Baltimore County and us, and you have to change to be a part of us. Baltimore County has to change. We have to meet you halfway. We have to know what the needs are in your community, and we have to look at them. I've been touring all the unions, and as Mr. Jellis was saying, one of the things that we have stopped paying attention to are the kids who don't want to go to college, who can't go to college, who just aren't going to college. What are we doing with them? They don't have any reason to go to school, because everything today is about college, and I believe wholeheartedly in going to college and education. It's so important. But if you've got these kids who aren't going to go, let's give them an opportunity. Let's give them something else. Steam fitters, plumbers, carpenters, elevators, electricians, these people have jobs that they can't find people for. The trained people for these jobs just aren't there. They aren't there. So if our kids went to school, our seniors went to school a half a day and went to these apprenticeship programs for a half a day, they get paid a stipend while they do that, while they learn. They go through the apprenticeships, then they become journeymen, then they become interns, then they become whatever. And before you know it, they're making a good salary. They're able to buy a car. They're able to raise a family and buy a house. That's important stuff, and I think we're doing a great disservice to our kids by not giving them another choice and an opportunity. Economic development, it's a sore subject sometimes, but it has to be talked about, and we have to put it in the right places. We have to balance as much as we can, but it's important to keep our communities alive and well, and it's all about our communities. They need to be kept alive and well. And as I said, I've been touring Baltimore County. I see what Baltimore County does well. I've been on the council almost 8 years. I see what we do well. I see what we can do better. I passed legislation that outlawed spice, which was a synthetic marijuana. I worked with Scott Schellenberger, with some of the police department, to say, what are we going to do about this? And in the state, one of the senators, they kept outlawing certain things that were in the spice, in the drug, HP2, whatever. But every time they did that, the manufacturers would come up with something else to put in the drug. Mm-hmm. And spice was packaged for our most vulnerable kids, 7, 8 years old. They were called Scooby Snacks. Mm-hmm. And they were sold mostly in convenience stores in neighborhoods, convenience stores attached to gas stations, maybe little mom and pop grocery stores. They were sold there, and our kids were dying because they were getting their hands on this drug. And what we did with the help of Scott Schellenberger at the county council level, and it was my bill, we outlawed the sale of spice. We said to the people that own the gas station or the convenience store, you sell this, you're going to jail. Now, you don't hear much about spice anymore because it's not out there and it's not easily accessible to our kids. Tourism. put in a tourism bill not too long ago because Baltimore County has so much to offer. It's a reinvestment in ourselves. We give money to the city, to the Hippodrome, to someplace called the Lyric. I don't know what that is. And that's great because a lot of us go downtown. A lot of us go to the aquarium and to the zoo and to whatever. That's wonderful. But why aren't we reinvesting in ourselves? So my bill took 8% of the 8% hotel tax and put it towards tourism for Baltimore County. East, west, north, and south. Let's celebrate who we are, what we have, and let's bring people out to enjoy it. And we really do have a lot to offer in Baltimore County. The last thing I wanted to talk about was food policy. A friend of mine, one of my base people, called up, and she was working in the cafeteria in a school in Reisterstown, and she said, "What are you going to do about these hungry kids?" I said, "We don't have hungry kids in Baltimore County. We've got the farm program, we've got this program, that program." She said, "I'm telling you, we got hungry kids in Baltimore County." So we looked into this a little further, and sure enough, we got a lot of hungry kids in Baltimore County schools. And it doesn't mean just poor kids, whatever the reason. So we put together this food policy advisory group, and we started a program in conjunction with Baltimore County Public Schools. In 4 of our schools now, we have Dundalk High, Dundalk Middle, Hawthorne Elementary, and in Arbutus, Riverview. We are feeding kids breakfast and lunch every single day, no questions asked, no forms to fill out, no stigma attached to being hungry. And we're finding that kids are coming to school because that's where they're going to get fed. They're also going home with backpacks for the weekend, and we're going to be feeding them in the summer. Their attention level is so much better. Their behavior is better because they're not hungry. It's a basic, simple thing that we need to be aware of. We need to pay attention to the details. We need to get back to the basics. We need to start at the bottom again and work ourselves way back up. Leadership comes from the top, and a good leader creates more leaders. You bring people together, you bring their talents together, and you make them want to feel a part of something bigger than themselves, just like what I found out many, many years ago. And I think we can make Baltimore County a better place to be. I've seen what works, I've seen what doesn't work, and I think moving forward, I am getting so many ideas from across the county, so many people who are just saying, "Can I tell you what I think? Can I tell you what I know about this? Can I tell you what I think about this?" And believe me, it's been quite an experience and a journey to see all parts of Baltimore County. I've had tours of Dundalk, tours of Arbutus, tours of Lansdowne. Amazing places with amazing people who just want what you want. That's all. Same things. They just want what you want. So that's it for me. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm